as we earlier said, we're going to shed some light on President Sisi's tour that took him to, it's an Asian tour that took him to Kazakhstan, Japan, and South Korea. And of course, it's going to take him to Japan and South Korea. He already was in Kazakhstan, and we are going to shed some light on the importance and the depth of this visit, especially and the timing also, especially as it comes at a time that Egypt is taking a leap in its economic projects, and actually that there were two important economic conferences that were held before the president left, and a lot of other questions are also going to be raised, and very delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawy, expert in international relations. Good morning, Dr. Al-Ghazawy.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you so
As
much.
Dina said, the Asian tour took President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi first to Kazakhstan, and he is going to continue to have more stops in Japan and South Korea. First, let's know your evaluation of the tours of the three countries.
Well, let me start with the valuing the importance of foreign relations to any country, and especially to Egypt in this particular critic phase of our recent history. We have to say that there is no country in the world that is living alone.
Sure.
The world today is a big village, as they say. So reliance on cordial mutual relations between different nations is so essential to help all parties concerned, not only Egypt, by the way. Other countries also will benefit from such warm relations in all aspects of possible fields, like cultural, economic, diplomatic, social, educational, whatever. But in this particular phase in Egypt, even the value of such a visit takes on much more deeper meaning and concept in this particular time. We talk about Egyptian people aspirations to better living conditions. We talk about our dreams of economic boom that will end a lot of suffering to a lot of Egyptians. And after two consecutive revolutions, we talk about aspirations that have, rocketed the sky.
Yeah.
And have left any government or any president very much in problematic situation, because of what we have already is not enough to do that. The tools of Egypt, and we talk about chronic accumulated problems for long years. Economically, let us start with, and all other aspects, by the way. So we know today that one of the most important exits to help Egypt is to have good relations with other strong nations. We learn from them, and we cooperate from them, and we invite them to come and invest in Egypt. And we need their tourists to come to us. And we need their learned lessons, positive learned lessons to learn from them. So this is so important, and it's like building very strong bridges of cooperation between Egypt and other countries. And when you talk specifically about the countries of the Asian countries in this particular part of Asia, you talk about a package of people who are very much dedicated to seriousness, to innovation, to hard work, to real advancement on the ground for long years. So we need to have such good relations with them. And let's also say that this is part of our Egyptian official foreign policy that started after 30 June revolution, not to rely only on the West. And this is really important, because it's not so productive to rely only on one major power or one major region in the world. It's more helpful to us to have very good relations with different parts of the world, because every country has their own positive lessons that we can learn from. Every country has their own positive ways of exchanging expertise, different mutual relations in economy, in society, in communication, in technology, in innovation, everything.
Dr. Ghazawy, the significance, like I mentioned earlier in the intro, the timing of this tour that is going to take the President to those three countries. Now, after President Sisi have worked so hard with his foreign policy on retaining Egypt's leading role in Ethiopia and all the countries in Africa, and maintaining the tight relations again, he is, moving to another place in the world. So the choice of the three countries, if you can talk about the significance behind choosing those particular three countries, why were those three countries chosen for this tour?
Well, let us say that the selection was so skillful, I have to say. As I say, that wherever the upper interest of Egypt goes, the president should follow. And if he is going today to this particular part of the world, we have to underline that, and we have to stress on the importance of such a visit. We talk about three countries so influential, not only in the region but in the world. If we start from Kazakhstan, for instance, we talk about very, very large country. It's nearly 3 times like Egypt in area. They are 2.7 million kilometers. And the population, they have 18 millions. But the significance of this country is that although it was under the ex-Soviet Union Republic, but they maintained, as from 2000 and on, they maintained very high growth in their economy. Yes, GDP.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that this particular country alone assumes more than 60% of the GDP of the whole region of Western Asia. Mainly, they have a very strong capacity in wheat producing, and they have livestock also, a very high capacity in producing livestock, and minerals and oil. So we talk about also a mechanism of development, of sustainable development.
This was my coming question,
Yes.
sir. Regarding this, meaning that we can benefit from the Kazakh experience in many fields. We are an agricultural country, in the first place, and Kazakhstan is also an agricultural country. But as you have kindly mentioned, that they also had development in the field of energy, gas and oil, and also regarding education, regarding even space, nuclear power. What should be our priorities? Before going there, the president should have an agenda. And of course, he had priorities in his talks. If we can shed more light on these priorities.
Okay, let me start with the agriculture. Kazakhstan is one of the largest wheat producers in the world. And yet our economic relations with them was not so high. And we were relying more on Russia and some other...
Russia, Ukraine, Romania.
Yeah, Ukraine and Romania. So this particular visit, if it manages to tighten relations in this particular field, not only to import from them wheat, but also to learn the know-how, the mechanisms, the tools, and because they produce a very massive, very, very big amount of wheat from their land. We talk also about mutual relations in terms of tourism, and they agreed, by the way, yesterday, the two presidents agreed to start from this, probably the end of this week, a direct flight airline from Sharm el-Sheikh to Astana, Kazakhstan, the capital, which is very good, very promising. So this is like an eye-opening for Egypt economy and relations. And by the way, about 65% of the population in Kazakhstan, they are Muslims, and 26% are Christians, and the rest is other identities or religious groups. So we talk also about sort of similarities in the culture between the two people in Egypt and Kazakhstan, which holds potentials, very good potentials for having religious, cultural, social, educational, as you mentioned, some of the other major aspects of that they have, and we have also our powerful major aspects that they can learn and benefit from us. So it's a win-win relations between us and them. Of course, it takes us also to the rest of the visit because Kazakhstan itself is part of the story. The other two parts is Japan and South Korea.
Before we move on to Japan and South Korea, let us also continue with Kazakhstan, because there are lots to be said, lots of things to be taken on Kazakhstan. Among the significant experiences also is that Kazakhstan have made it to build a new capital in less than 2 years.
Yes.
And we are about to undergo the same experience. So how do you think we are going to be benefiting from such an experience?
Well, it's yeah, as I said at the beginning, we have a lot to learn from each other, and this particular incident you just mentioned is one of them. We were reluctant for long years to take such a positive move, and probably some people might be surprised to know that the idea of having a new capital in Egypt started even in 1950s. So you talk about like 80 years ago. And still the idea did not move even a single step until last, few months is when the plans and the executive steps for having our new administrative capital start to take place at the time of President Sisi. So we talk about like 80 years of having the idea coming and going, and so. And by the way, it's not only Kazakhstan, it's more than 6 or 7 countries around the world. In the last 50 years, they changed their capital because of the same problem that we have in Egypt. Of course, the comparison sometimes is not practical, because Egypt has like 20 or 21st million inhabitants living in Cairo, the capital, while all the population of Kazakhstan is 18 million. So we talk about, of course, some
just
different.
Greater Cairo.
Yeah, just like Greater Cairo. But amazingly, this 18 millions are living in an area which is more than 2.5 or 2.7 of the size of Egypt, and the density of population there is less than five persons in each square kilometers, which is in Egypt, sometimes it goes, more than 10,000 persons in square kilometers. You put this and this and make the comparison to know that, it's not, they are not similar. We are not similar in this particular issue, but we are similar in the idea of finding solutions to our problems, because the same suffering that they have in their capital before, it was small and the population were growing higher than the capacity of the capital itself. That's why they took the decision. They took it in the right time, but we waited for 80 years to take the decision. So we can learn from that. And because it's inevitable, if we don't do it today, we will find it even after 5 years or 10 years.
Among the
more obliged to do it.
Things, sir, that fighting terrorism. Since the very first speech of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in front of the international community back in September 2014 in front of the UN General Assembly, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi warned the whole world that terrorism is a global phenomenon and it's not directed to a certain region. And among the priorities in the talks of President al-Sisi and his Kazakh counterpart, Nazarbayev, was fighting terrorism. In the press conference, the joint press conference right after the talks, the two leaders said that their countries share the same idea or the same vision regarding fighting terrorism. How do you see fighting terrorism as a topic which was raised in the Egyptian-Kazakh summit?
One of the major issues that should be always on top of the agenda is terrorism fighting. And if you talk about Kazakhstan and Egypt, you talk about two Muslim countries
I'm sorry for the interruption, sir, but to add to what you've kindly said, and trying to correct religious discourse.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I started with they are two Muslim countries. So we need to take off from the same point.
Yes.
How to fight terrorism, how to fight extremism. And I'm glad that they have a joint vision in terms of the take-off point, which is fighting extremism, the enlightenment, the real enlightenment of the principles of religion. Of course, we should not ignore the very powerful and sparkling role of Al-Azhar, which is very much needed today more than ever to get back its glorious role in the Islamic world. If Kazakhstan and Egypt and other Muslim countries, and they are of course members of the the World Islamic Organization or Cooperation Organization, if they join hands together, they can do something, because it's not for the interest of any country, whether Egypt or Kazakhstan or any other Muslim countries. This consecutive, incidents mostly done by Muslim extremists.
So-called.
It's so-called. So we need today to take a step. And step, as the President said and several times, Egypt cannot do anything alone when it comes to terrorism. And terrorism is not an Egyptian or Islamic trend, or not even any country, even United States and other major power in the world. In their fight against terrorism, they joined hands with Egypt, with Saudi Arabia, with all countries in the region and around the globe. So terrorism as a crime by nature in itself dictates cooperation. We talk about a phenomenon that is moving, border moving from one country to another. It's never staying in one country, by the way. That's why it was problematic in Iraq for some time, and after Iraq, it comes Syrian crisis today, and Somalia, and then it's
sweeping the whole
it's like an ugly disease that is expanding over time if it is not controlled and fought in the right way. And to fight it, we have to join hands. It's not an easy task.
Right. Kazakhstan has possessed the fourth largest nuclear arsenal in the world, and after the fall of the Soviet Union, they scrapped off all its nuclear arms. So how can Egypt also benefit from this very important experience, especially that Egypt is looking forward for mega projects in the field of energy and renewable energy?
Well, I don't think Kazakhstan has this high innovative power in terms of nuclear issues, because yes, you are right. It once was a host of 1,475 nuclear warheads. That was during the Soviet Union time. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1990, they found themselves hosting this huge number of mass destruction weapons. After some time, they decided just to return it back to Russia, because
What a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the eye-opening for them to see the real development world. By the way, they didn't occupy themselves with this huge problem, because it's not easy to host this amount of destructive items in your home. And if you are seeking development, why would you have such problems? And if you don't have enemies around, why do you have them? And if you would like to keep them, what are you going to do with them? So the decision was clear for them. I really admire their expertise in that field, because starting from 1994 or 95, their economy started to expand strongly. And as from 2000 until 2013, they were achieving consecutively a very high rate of growth every year economically. They even reached 9.5 and but most of this year they were ranging between 8 and 9% in 13 consecutive years. So they changed the structure of their community over years. And the same president, Nur Sultan. So the vision was clear. This is one of the issues that we have to take from them. they managed to change within a short period of time. Let us talk that 10 years is not a big deal when it comes to the age of nations. It's nothing. It's
history of a nation.
It's like 1 second in the
Yes.
history of any nation. So when you talk about such qualitative and quantitative transition that took place in less than 10 years, this is not an easy lesson. And we have to learn from that. That's what I said from the beginning. We have to learn. We have to learn because Egypt is going through a very critical phase. We have blurring visions inside Egypt between political powers. We have a lot of I would say unwise opposition to the president and the government. A lot of people probably may feel impatient about waiting to the outcomes or the fruits of development to take place. So we have to learn from them because they were in even a worse situation than us. But because they were committed to their sustainable development plans and they didn't have such a chaotic, trends over the daily life of
I like
their,
this statement, sir, when you've said we should learn.
Yeah.
When it comes to Japan, which is going to be the second step or the second stop of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi Asian tour, Japan just came out from the Second World War completely devastated. And it moved from being a developing to a developed country on their own. The Japanese did that. And one of the most important issues, which I really admired when I read about what's going to be in the agenda of President al-Sisi with whether Emperor Akihito or Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, is education.
Exactly.
And how we should learn from the Japanese people how they managed to have this marvelous education system for the sake of their country, for the sake of the coming generation. How do you see exchanging experience between Egypt and Japan, specifically in this field, education?
Well, the password for Japan's success is commitment and devotion. This is a trend. It's a trend in the Japanese even cultural life. They are so committed and so serious, and they don't waste their times. And they are very polite and disciplined people.
Yes.
And I myself believe that this is the real, the soul of change and development is to be disciplined. One of the things that I really witness and feel when I go to some European or Western countries and go to Africa and other places and make this inevitable comparison is the discipline. If you do have a disciplined community, you have the momentum for change in a very short time. That's why you said after the Second World War, after what happened to Japan and this huge damage that that was done to this country, within less than 15 years, Japan was stronger. Not stronger in military, but stronger in everything.
Yeah.
Because the major power, let us say, the magic power of change is not the government, but the individual. They were committed. Committed means simply that if their development plans, you have the tools that could take this plan from theory to reality. Committed means simply that whoever is in charge, well, prime minister or the government or whoever they won't have unnecessary fights every moment of their life while trying to run the community there, because they have sort of obedient workers who are really willing to serve their countries. And it's not, by the way, it's not new trend in Japan. Historically, this has been always like that. That's why you find that, as you said, when they collapsed after the World War II, they didn't take much time to regain their power, regain their superiority, regain their advanced education. And you don't talk only about advanced education. You talk about advanced everything. Japan, technologically, in the top.
Yes.
And they are very innovative community. Their universities, and even they go side by side with American and the most advanced in the Western world, and even more. So you talk about a package of positive aspects.
If you correct me, Dina, Japan is the third largest Asian after China and India.
Exactly. This was going to be my second question. Apart from what Nermeen mentioned, the educational file, which is also very important, but Japan have been attaining leading position for years as an economic power. And if you go to the United States, you can see the most important economic entities bought by Japanese companies. And it's well known in the United States and everywhere. So as Egypt is trying to overcome its economic difficulties right now, and we all know that, and gathering donations from here and there in every way, whether people like it or no, Japan could be a leading role model for us to learn from and see how can we overcome our economic difficulties and inconveniency instead of trying to take risks that might not be working. And this is important also.
Yeah, it is so important, And actually, if it comes to Japan, I would agree totally with you. If we can learn from them, not only Japan, by the way. You have China, you have Japan, you have Malaysia,
India.
You have India, you have Indonesia. I mean, you don't have to go to the Western world, the first nations, democratic nations, to take everything. I mean, we have very positive lessons there, and you can take from them whatever you want. But if you talk specifically about Japan, as I said earlier, it's the magic word for them is respect, mutual respect and discipline. And I think this should be one of the most advanced innovation that we have to take from them today. I mean, it's not innovation.
The most important for us now.
But for us now, it's innovation in Egypt, and we have to. And I'm sad to say that, but this is the truth,
Sir, Egypt started a new era, and inshallah, we are going to move forward.
Exactly. I'm so positive about that. By the way, I know I witness a change. I understand that it's not an easy task. I lived situation, the transition expertise in different countries in the world, and I know that Egypt is doing very well.
Dr. Ibrahim Ghazawy, the expert in international relations, thank you very much for your input.
Thank you so much. You have a good day. Thank you.
After the short break, we are going to come back with just 15 minutes to go. Till then, stay with us on Nile TV International.